Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So, start of a new month, moved my frame over, got everything set up, and I'm thinking, I was looking at the shapes that the colors are making. I've got some more feathers up here, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to start kind of in the middle of this. That's just how I feel like doing it today, so yeah, sort of just start with one of these shapes and sort of work up and then work downwards. Just because that's how I feel like doing it. So you could, of course, do it any way you like. This is just my way. So yeah, it's kind of a gloomy, overcast day today. So not as much natural light. I have my crafting lamp on, so that should hopefully illuminate things well enough. Just double checking again that I'm in the correct spot. The correct big square. So yeah, I got almost exactly 8,000 stitches done last month. It was like 4 stitches shy of that, so yeah. If I'd realized, if I'd done the math, I probably would have stitched those last 4 stitches just to get it there, but I didn't realize till after I'd all wrapped everything up and I wasn't going to do that, so. Yeah, there's a big bunch of thread. I think that's the color, there we go, yeah. That my son found stuck to a blanket, so he brought it back to me and I couldn't figure out what color it was. So it's an orange color, so I've been comparing it to the other oranges as I work to see if I can figure it out. Because yeah, it's like a big strand that I only removed 1 strand to stitch from, so yeah. And then it got carried away on a blanket, so yeah, that happens. One time I couldn't find, I knew I had cut a new piece of thread and had only used 1 strand and I couldn't find the rest of it. And then a few days later I discovered one of my son's stuffed animals had it. Yeah. That animal's fur is almost like Velcro. So yeah, it was stuck to his face. So yeah, we had a laugh over that. I said, take a look, your stuffed dog stole my thread. Oh dear. So yeah, I have a bit of a sore throat this morning. I don't know, this winter has been not so good for me. I seem to be catching every little bug out there this year. Yeah, not enough to get like full-blown ill, except for my bout with norovirus. That was no fun. But luckily short-lived. But yeah, I just get enough that I feel like my temperature's just not quite right. And yeah, sore throat. And so I rest a bit and hopefully keep it from getting bad. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating because I'll feel better and then a week later feel off again, and then yeah. Okay. So yeah, again, like I say, these are very red and orange in this area. More than I would have thought, but I'm liking how it looks. Yeah, like it looks a little more washed out in the mock-up. I don't know if that's whether it's the mock-up or it's my printer, because I printed it out. I like to have it on my stitching table to just sort of refer to every now and then. See exactly where I am. So I'm hoping to get to a 0 this month. It looks like if I finish her chest that is in this pass, I may get a 0 there. So one color that doesn't have very many stitches left, and it looks like they're all in that area. So of course sometimes it can be hard to tell on these big pieces when you zoom out. There could be a stray stitch here or there that is highlighted that you don't see. So yeah, but I turned it into a super bright pink, like fluorescent pink, the highlight color, to see if I could see if there was any of it throughout the rest of the pattern, and it looked like it was only on the peahen's chest. So yeah, we will see. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, over 60%. So yeah, like I said, I've been managing around 8,000 a month. I got over 8,000 last month. So at that pace, I will not finish by the end of the year. Yeah, because I still have like almost 120,000 stitches left. So yeah, I would have to do more than 10 per month for the rest of the months remaining in the year to be done. So I'm gonna say that this will be done next year. Probably in the spring would be my guess. Yeah, this spring, my kiddo becomes a legal adult, which just blows my mind. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of funny because I got a letter in the mail from the government saying that, you know, oh, our records show you have a dependent who's under 18 who might be eligible for the Canadian dental plan. And I'm like, okay, well, he is under 18, but like only for like 6 more weeks, you know, maybe a bit more, but less than 2 months, you know. It's like, by the time you got the paperwork done, he wouldn't be eligible anymore. Besides the fact that he's not eligible anyway because he's covered under my husband's work health plan, so it's not an issue. But yeah, it was just kind of funny. But I guess they just go by like an algorithm and an automatic mail, you know, mailer. But yeah, it's a new thing they started because our health care system doesn't cover vision or dental, which has always been weird to me since, like, I mean, those are parts of your body. The health of those should count too, but yeah. Yeah, and my husband checked with his work plan, and our son can stay on till he's 21, so yeah, not a problem. Yeah, he can apply for it then if he doesn't have any coverage through a job or anything, but yeah, I do wish they would cover vision care because glasses are expensive, especially when you get to the high prescriptions like I do. And I know that, yes, you can get them made for cheaper online, but I went with cheap glasses once and they made them wrong. I couldn't see. It was giving me horrible headaches, and they wouldn't admit they did them wrong. So in the end, I ended up having to pay for glasses from Pearl Vision anyway, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. Yeah, they said that when you have a super high prescription like mine, it's a lot harder for them to get it right. Yeah. Like, if it's just like basically readers, then it's not a problem, but yeah. If you're like me who needs them to see anything. So yeah, I'm pretty blind. So it's really bad if my glasses fall off the nightstand where I put them, because then it's like I need my glasses to find my glasses. Oh, I had that one time, I remember. I was turning over in the middle of the night and my blanket kind of whipped at my nightstand and it knocked the glasses on the ground, and I heard it and it was like, oh shoot. And yeah, I had to very carefully get down on the floor because I didn't want to step on them. And then I spent like 20 minutes, like, you know, hand over hand over the whole floor trying to find the ruddy things. Oh, I was by myself, so I couldn't ask anyone else to help me. And I didn't want to just leave it till morning because I thought, knowing my luck, you know, I'll probably get up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night and step on them, right? And then I'll be in big trouble because, yeah. Oh, so. Yeah. I finally found them. They had gotten knocked sort of under the bed. So I wouldn't actually have been in danger of stepping on them, but I had no way of knowing that until I found them, so. Yeah. Yeah, I looked into getting the Lasik, but I'm kind of nervous to do that. One of my aunts had it done, and she suffered from horrible dry eye afterwards that drops wouldn't fix, and I already have dry eye issues, so, and I had that was a big issue for me. I wore contact lenses for about a year, and yeah, the dryness finally was what made me give up and go back to glasses, because spending all day, you know, blinking, trying to keep things from drying out and putting in drops all day, and I decided it was not worth the hassle anymore. Yeah, and also my aunt who had that problem said she basically, her close-up vision will not focus anymore, and she can't really sew, which was her passion. So yeah, I'm like, I really don't want to risk that, because if I couldn't stitch, I would be devastated. So yeah, I will live with it. So yeah, like I said, just looking, there's sort of a couple of feathers here. I'm just going to sort of work my way up for now, and then I'll work my way down later, but that won't be today. Yeah. So yeah, that's with my new color flow method, rather than working strictly from the top. Ooh, I almost went over 2 squares. That is not what I want to do. Doing that on the bottom leg, you could probably fudge it, but I'd rather just do it correctly in the first place. Yeah, so my Ocarina of Time piece is coming on to the 2-year mark. I got about a quarter of the black background done, so a quarter to a third, I would estimate. So yeah, you do the math, right? It's going to be a long while until I get to some actual colors on that pattern. But yeah, I've added over 33,000 stitches, so I said that's how much I got for adding approximately a thread's worth per night. Of course, there's some days I miss it, and there's been a couple times I did more because it's a good travel piece. Since I'm only doing the black, I don't have to take any other colors with me, and it's already outlined, so I don't even need to take the pattern with me. Yeah, I can just keep on filling it in. So yeah, my voice might sound a little different. My throat's a little sore. I'll probably go lie down after this and see if I can head it off. Yeah. myself some tea with honey. Oh man, I remember when I was a kid, if we had upset stomach, my mom would make us this stuff with apple cider vinegar because it's very similar to your stomach acid. And she would try to cover the taste with like using lots of honey in it. But yeah, it was still pretty awful. Oh. It was a hold your nose and chug it down as fast as possible to get it over with kind of situation. Yeah. It did usually help, I found, yeah. When you had the sour stomach feeling. You would think adding more acid to it wouldn't help, right, with the vinegar, but it did. But yeah, I always dreaded when my mom made that remedy because it was nasty. Yeah, we have to get our passports renewed too soon. Mine is, I still have not used it. I got it 10 years ago, but has not been used. Yeah, shows you how much we travel. But it's always a good idea to have that in order, right? You never know. Yeah, that was actually a big problem during the postal strike in December. They said there was like something like 200,000 people's passports stuck in limbo because that's how they deliver them to you, is through the postal service. And yeah, it wasn't running, and so that really sucked for people who had travel plans. I mean, they always say make sure you get those papers together way ahead of time because yeah, it can take them a few weeks to process and everything, but still, you know, maybe you thought you'd accounted for that, and then yeah, there was like a month where they weren't delivering, and of course then it takes a while for them to clear the backlog. I think I'm finally back to having current bills. But yeah, I had when they delivered, there's one day they delivered 2 months worth of the same bill on the same day. Yeah, because of that backlog, so. Yeah, I had to stay on time. I took all the ones that I still get through the mail and made a stack of them, and then just sort of, you know, okay, last month it was due on the 22nd, so I'll make sure I pay it on like the 15th, you know, and I would have to call and get my balance and pay it that way. Most of them have automated systems, so it was pretty easy. Yeah, and then my landline phone, for some reason, the numbers wouldn't register. So it'll say like press 1 for this, and I would, and then it would say we have not received a response from you. I'm like, yes you have. I pushed the button, you know, and please select enough. So I did select it. We have not received a response. It's like, oh, for the love of oh yeah. So I ended up having to go back to my cell phone. Yeah, we call it the landline, even though technically it's actually not a landline physically anymore. It's the same number as our old landline, but it's actually like a internet box that does it now. Yeah. Although I've been slowly, everybody who contacts me there, I've been trying to give them my cell number so I don't need that number anymore, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna do this curve here. Let's see. Ooh, my goodness, pardon me. Yeah, so I have to go get our pictures taken. We'll have to see because the adult passports you do every 10 years. Child's passports has to be every 5. And my son's expires before he turns 18. So we're going to replace it because applying for a new one is a big pain. Renewing it is a lot easier. So I'm going to see if they will only let him renew it for 5 years or if they will let him do 10 since he's, you know, so close to being 18 now. Again, his was never used either. My husband's was used for a work thing, and yeah, ours were never used yet. Although it's funny because he went from Canada to the US, they didn't stamp it. Yeah. So he still needed it to cross the border, but they didn't stamp his passport. Yeah. I guess only certain countries do, or only when you're traveling to certain countries. Well, when we were kids, you didn't even need paperwork to cross the border. Yeah. Like you should have, like, you know, some kind of ID on you, but they almost never checked. Yeah. I remember I was on a band trip and we went to Disneyland, and you know, they were telling everyone to make sure you have something that proves you're a Canadian citizen, you know, your birth certificate or whatever, and otherwise we're gonna have to leave you behind, you know, you won't be allowed. And so we all had it, and then we got to the border and a guy kind of stepped on our bus and he's like, all Canadians here, right? We're like, yep. He's like, okay, off you go. It was like, wow. You can tell that was pre 9/11 because, yeah, there's no way they do that now. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't check for us leaving Canada, and they didn't check for us coming back into Canada. But that was like 1996 or something, so yeah. Yeah, we went to Disneyland because we got to do a workshop in the recording studio to see what it's like to actually work on film soundtracks. So that was really fun. Yeah. Yeah, they had like, we got to record part of the Beauty and the Beast theme from when they're dancing in the ballroom. Yeah, and then they put it together with the animation, you know. And we didn't manage to make it all the way through because they said the music sometimes has to, like, speed up or slow down depending on the music, right? It doesn't always go perfectly. And in order to do that, obviously you can't have a metronome going, right? Because that would wreck the sound. So instead you basically have the conductor has it. They called it a click track, and it does like basically the metronome, and it slows up and speeds up, slows down as necessary for the music. And so you have to watch him very carefully because he is conducting the beat, which changes. And yeah. And so we got to, there's a part where the music would really slow down, I think it was. And yeah, we kind of fell apart at that point. So we tried it about 3 times. We couldn't quite make it. So they said, okay, well, we'll just play what you guys did manage to record. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I actually considered that maybe I would like to do that for a career. Yeah, I played a flute. I was first chair. Yeah, it was interesting talking about soundtracks. I remember we were watching the behind the scenes for the Battlestar Galactica, and it was really interesting because the guy was talking about how he used different instruments from, you know, very diverse cultures to get sounds you might not be used to hearing, so they would sound more, you know, sci-fi, outer worldly kind of thing. And he said it was really interesting. He had this string instrument that was almost like a guitar, but not really. And he said he actually laid 100 tracks of him playing the same notes all together to give it like this sort of rich sound. Yeah, and like it wasn't the exact same track. Like he recorded himself 100 separate times and put them together, which was just like, wow, I had no idea it had that many layers. But yeah, I mean, it did sound really good. So yeah, that was a show I didn't really watch when it was on. It was the remake, the early 2000s remake. Yeah. Well, again, it was one of those. This was back in the days of cable, dating myself there. And it's not an episodic show, like say, Law and Order, some kind of procedural show where, it doesn't matter if you miss some because each story is pretty contained. There might be story arcs, but, if you miss one or two, it's generally not going to miss anything critical. But with that kind of a show, yeah, it's big, long, continuing storyline. And so by the time I kind of thought, well, this would be interesting to watch. If I tried to jump in, yeah, you would have been completely lost. And they made, they included, it was in the Blu-ray set we have. They included TV movie they made called Razor, which was about one of the ships they encounter along the way. And we watched that and I said, yeah, like in the context of the show. And but I said, yeah, if you had not been watching the show up to that point and you tried to just watch the TV movie, you would have been completely lost. Yeah. Like it didn't really explain anything. It kind of assumed you already knew what had happened up until then. Yeah, and they didn't really do a lot of recaps, I found. They would do a short little, this many survivors and this many, there are this, the Cylons have many copies and all this stuff, and they have a plan. And then like that would be it. And yeah, so it was very bare bones. And so yeah, like I said, if you hadn't been watching it up until then, you were pretty lost. So but yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was one of those, the Amazon algorithm found it for me, recommended it, and it was on sale, and it was like, buy the entire series for like $35. I'm like, yeah, for that amount of, I'll take the risk. And yeah, we loved it. We've only watched it once, even though we're big rewatchers of stuff, but yeah. There's been lots of other stuff to watch, and I don't know, we just kind of had that. It was so good, and we had the, man, I'm so sad it's over, that we kind of don't want to watch it again yet. So one of these days, I think we finished it in like 2017. Yeah. So I was really surprised. One of the main characters, she was a model, Trisha Heifer, something like that. Yeah, apparently she had never acted before. I said, you never would have known because she did a terrific job. Okay, so I'm just going to check the length of this other one that I parked up here. Yeah, that's not very long. Okay, I'm just kind of trying to decide which direction I want to stitch with this other thread. So I'm going to park it up here a little bit. I often change depending on where I want my thread to wind up at the end. Yeah, so the last time I kind of smoothed this out into a curve, and now we're kind of creating new indentations to fill in again. Yeah, but like sort of right about here is where her chest is going to come in. So yeah, I'm kind of working my way around that for now. Yeah, when there's sort of a dramatic color change, that's a good place to make my break point. So I'm going to do everything sort of on the other side that's on the wings, and then I will start on her chest and belly. And that means I can change what's in my working tray generally too. So yeah, so there's this, and then there's sort of a light tan, and then that's when it starts to change into the pale whites and the blues. Oh, that's not right. Oh, look at me doing it again. My gosh. Yeah. No good. Try that again. All right. Part the threads a little there. Actually, I'm going to do this one first. So yeah, I will have to make sure I'm not going to pin stitch any of these dark colors over to the right, which I normally do, but yeah, you don't want something like this dark red here showing through the pale whites and creams. Yeah, especially because it isn't just the little pin stitch showing through. It'll often draw the fuzzy red bits into the pale white bits, and yeah, you don't want that. It does not look good. You end up having to really pick at it to pick out any fuzzy bits, and yeah, I don't enjoy doing that. So yeah, I'll be doing a lot more of drawing the thread back through the backs of the stitches that are already done. Yeah, I prefer pin stitch most of the time because I find it a little faster, and I actually find it's a little more secure because the thread then also gets stitched over again. And so yeah, that's why I prefer to do pin stitch most of the time, but sometimes, yeah, there are other reasons for not using it. Or especially, of course, you don't want to go past the edge of the design either. Only want to go where it's going to be stitched over top. Oh man, it was funny. I had a bot comment on my channel, and it commented like a bunch of random stuff. Yeah, I just deleted it because it's not relevant, but it was quite funny. It was like, it was talking about crypto or something, and it was like, oh, you know, great analysis, thank you. I have a bunch of money in my SafePal wallet. And then it said, I have the seed phrase, and then it was like turkey blossom mistake sword, like just a bunch of random stuff. And then, how do I transfer this or whatever? And it was just like, yeah, okay, bot. Like, and the words were totally random. It wasn't even like when, you know, you hit the middle button for the suggestion, like, but usually if you do that, the words will have some kind of connection, you know, like you'll say, I should, and then it will suggest have, you know, or whatever. But this was like, yeah, like I said, mistake turkey blossom sword squeeze. Like none of the words made any sense in comparison to each other. It was quite funny. At first I thought, oh, somebody just commented this on the wrong, you know, you know, channel. But then it was like, no, actually that phrase makes absolutely no sense no matter what, you know, video you would have posted it on. If you hadn't been posting on a video about, you know, crypto or online investing, it still wouldn't have made any sense. Okay, so yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna kind of work out to that 10 probably, or maybe just shy of it, and then I will stop working outwards and keep filling in more of this color. I'm not going to go to the pale colors yet. I will get to those later. Okay, so a little bit of a longer carry here, but it's still within that inch. So yeah, I don't carry more. Well, this is 14 stitches per inch, so I could carry over 14, but I usually carry about 10 at the most, I find. Actually, I just want to check the length of this one here. Okay, so that's not very long. So instead of tying this off, I'm going to park this over too, because the other thread is going to run out. This way I don't have to go through the trouble of adding even another thread at that point. So, all right, so unthread that for now because it's going to be a while before I get to it. Yeah. So yeah, I think, yeah. I'm getting close to my cutoff point. Yeah, so my husband has to go away again soon. Yeah, been feeling like he's a shift worker for the last bit. He's been sort of home for a week, away for a week, home for a week, away for a week. Yeah, but yeah, they got lots of new equipment to install and systems to switch over. So he's busy. Yeah, at least this whole winter's been pretty mild, so that's made travel not so bad. Yeah, and he's having his truck taken to the shop because they're going to put some matte decals on the hood because, yeah, the way they designed the shape of it for this newest release, it bounces the sunlight right back to your eyes. And yeah, like he said, you have to basically, even with sunglasses on, you're squinting because it is so bright and blinding, and so it's just not safe, you know. Yeah, so I guess they thought, oh, this new hood shape looks cool, and nobody considered the fact that, yeah, unfortunately, it is also a perfect shape to reflect the light right back at the driver. And especially if you're out here on the prairies where there's, like, you know, big open spaces and no trees to block the sun, yeah, it gets super blinding. And then when it's also bouncing off the snow and off the hood, yeah, it gets really, really bright. Yeah, there's some days when it's super sunny out there and snow, I have to keep the drapes closed, even though I generally like to work from natural light, but it gets overly strong and blind, gets snow blindness, so you don't want that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how my son stands it. He drives with no sunglasses. Doesn't seem to bother him because I have some cheap ones I bought that are big and they fit over your glasses, and I offered him one because I have two, because of course I misplaced one, bought a replacement, and then of course that's the best way to find something you've misplaced, right? Yeah. So now I have 2 pairs, and I said, you know, you can have one because they were like $5 at the dollar store, right? So yeah, and they're pretty stylish now. I remember my grandparents had the ones that fit over your glasses, but they were not. They were not stylish at all. But the new ones now, they just look like regular shades. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very sensitive to light, I find, so I almost never leave the house without my sunglasses. Yeah, in the summer it's sunny, but in the winter you get the reflection off the snow, so you kind of need them all year. Okay, so park that there. So yeah, I kind of made there a base to sort of work off of for now. Let me take a look. How long is this piece, and is it still threaded? Oh, it's not very. Yeah, that's pretty short. I may just actually stitch that one and tie it off because, yeah, it's pretty much done. Oh, I think I'll just do another. These 3 here. Because, yeah, I will probably bring another thread from the other side for more of this color. So yeah, sort of down to this color is I think where I'm going to. Okay, now make sure I pin stitch over here where it's still dark because, yeah, like I said, the light colors are coming in there. I do not want the dark colors pin stitched around there. Especially the ends, they really get pulled up to the front, and it's a big pain. So yeah, let's see. A lot of this color, not really. Okay, just deciding if I wanted to put it in my working tray or not. I got lots of space, so maybe I will. So yeah, it goes this way, and then the colors start going the other way. So I'm going to sort of finish all the dark colors and then start working that way downwards for the light colors. But that probably won't be for a while, maybe in a couple of sessions. We will see. Yeah, so if I get all of the peahen done that is in this pass, I will be halfway across the piece, at least across this, yeah, across this pass at that point. So. Yeah, like I said, I've been managing about 3 months and a bit. I have 3 more passes after this one. So like I said, in a year was like kind of close, but probably not going to happen. Yeah, because of course there's always stuff that gets in the way. Be watching figure skating. There's European championships and 4 continents. And then there's, and then in March, there's the World Championships, of course, which I always look forward to. Yeah, this has been exciting because, you know, the Olympics is coming up next year. So, yeah, who's going to get those spots is kind of being decided this year. So, and how many spots they're going to get as well. Yeah, obviously the countries that finish highest get more spaces. I think up to 3. So everybody sort of gets one, but yeah, you can earn more than one spot if, say, your athletes keep finishing like first. Then yeah. So yeah, obviously I can't stitch during that, so I do my knitting then. And then before we know it, it'll be summer and I'll be having to work on my apple harvest again. We'll see what we get this year. We haven't really had a good freeze, so generally the trend seems to be I don't get as many apples, but we'll see. Yeah, year before last was insane. I got like 90 liters, and that was of concentrate, so you have to water it down to drink it. So yeah, we water it down to almost half and half. It is very strong. And because I used to can it already watered down, but then I kind of went, well, that takes up more space, and also we like to add carbonated water so you can get sparkling juice from it. So yeah, we now just, for the last couple of years, I can it as just concentrate, and then yeah, you can add either plain water or bubbly water depending on what you want. And yeah, like I said, takes up less space, because hey, those lids cost money. Not a lot, but you know, it adds up. If you can do 30% or even 50% fewer jars, you know, it does save you over time. Yeah, I do buy mine in bulk. Yeah, like you can order. There's a lot of farm supply stores and such that sell them, and you can order like 200 at once. So that is what I do, rather than those piddly little, here's 12 lids, because I'll just blow right through those. Yeah, although sometimes at the end of canning season I'll keep my eye out, and sometimes they put the lids on clearance, and then it's like, yeah, if you're only going to charge me 50 cents for a dozen lids, yoink. Yeah, Canada has, they call them the gem jars size, which is, it's kind of between the wide mouth and the standard mason jar size. And they almost stopped making the lids, Benadryl, and then there was such an outcry that they keep on making them, thankfully, because yeah, otherwise. Although we went through, my husband got, he had a set of flashlights to check for heavy metals. And yeah, some of those old vintage jars do have lead in them, so you need to be careful. All the newer stuff, like, it's made without lead, none of them. But yeah, some of the older ones, the vintage ones that I got from the thrift store, they lit up blue with lead. There was a few that had green, the uranium. But so yeah, if you're using vintage jars, it's a good idea to check. You can still use the jars for storing, say, non-food items, right? Like pens or whatever. Or like I gave some to my husband, so he uses them for storing like motor oil or, you know, screws and bolts and stuff like that. Yeah. But, because I actually even have some of the vintage jars that are like the cut glass, and you have to, they have glass lids. Yeah. And I actually didn't like those because they're very hard to open, and you kind of end up butchering the gasket. And buying replacement gaskets are not terribly cheap. So yeah. You can use the newer two-piece snap lids on them now. But yeah, you should check to make sure the jars don't contain, the glass doesn't contain lead, because you don't want that in your food. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. Like I said, I have like 300 jars, and we found maybe a dozen of them. So yeah, even among a lot of the vintage jars I had. Because yeah, one of my friends, she was cleaning out her grandma's basement after she had passed away, and she found like 4 dozen jars, and she's like, do you want them? You know, otherwise I'll take them to the thrift store. I was like, yeah, free jars, I'll take them, you know. And she said, as long as you come over here to pick them up, you can just have them. So yeah. you have people, don't worry, I'll return the jar. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine, but no rush. I have so many that, yeah. My basement is always full. Even when I've just done a batch of canning, I still usually have a ton of jars left, so. Well, sort of, I bought a bunch at the thrift store, and I bought some on clearance at the store, and then my friend offered me, you know, her grandma's 4 dozen jars, so then it was like, well, I guess I don't have to buy any, like, forever. Yeah, actually, little jars are what I use to hold my thread ends. Yeah, and then I started making Christmas ornaments out of the ends. You can buy those clear little plastic balls that you can open and stick stuff in. So yeah, I have a picture on my Insta of the couple that I made from this pattern. Because yeah, one of them has like no orange in it because it was before I started his tail. And then, yeah, now it has, yeah, but it's kind of cool. You can see all the layers and stuff of the different colors as I stitch my way across. There was one somebody showed their jar they kept because they stitch extreme cross country, so all of the one color across the whole pattern and then the next color, so they had this really cool like gradient of colors, and they even I think went mostly in rainbow order, so yeah, it looked really cool. Yeah, or there was one who it wasn't in rainbow order because they would pick the one that has the most stitches, stitch all that, then pick the next one that had the most until they got to the ones with the least. So yeah, that was cool too. I said I don't have the courage to stitch like that because even with a grid I would miscount and then I probably wouldn't find it for months and then it would be so difficult to fix. So some blue coming in here again. As you can see, it's quite a colorful spot. There's a lot of threads there. Goodness. I was picking up my scissors and I had a bunch of other threads wrapped around that I don't want to accidentally cut. There we go. Okay. Oh. So kind of had a mix of some blocks and confetti, so still pretty good progress. Oh yeah, we're ready to roll over to 61% pretty soon. Sweet. Oh, let's try that again. Yeah, so I've been managing about 2.5% per month. So yeah, again, do the math, and that's over a year. We're pretty close to it. Okay. All right, just trying to decide what I want to do, how I want to stitch this. If I could get a thread out, that is. So yeah, 301, that was the color that got stuck to a blanket and carried away. Yeah, or I had that sometimes. Be at work and look down and there's thread stuck to my pant legs. So yeah, I sat down to put in a few stitches before heading out to work. So yeah, park that there. And then when I get to it, I'll stitch up and back down. Okay, and some more bits of green. Just managed to squeak that out. I knew it was going to be close. Oh, still not 61. No, still not 61. All right, let's stitch until it rolls over, huh? Okay. Yes, I'll have to do some stopping and starting here to keep from closing in on all four sides, which is the thing I try to avoid. Yeah, sometimes with this new method it ends up closed in on 3 sides, but I try to avoid 4 when I can help it. So don't do the next one yet. No, still, man, it's, now that I'm watching it, it's like the watch pot that never boils, right? Now that I'm trying to catch it when it goes over to 61. And now that I'm paying attention, if I wasn't, then it would roll over and I wouldn't even notice, right? Always the way. Yeah, like I was so eager to catch it when it rolled over to 50%, and then when it actually happened, I missed it. Oh, let's not shred that thread if we can help it. That'd be great. All right, let's see if this does it. Nope. Oh, that's funny. Nope, still not. Haha. My gosh. Nope. It is just going to make us keep waiting. Okay. Probably should have done the stitch below this if I'd been thinking ahead enough, but oh well. Good enough. No, still won't. My gosh. Oh, I have a whole bunch of this color in a row, so maybe this will do it. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could have started sort of from the center of this motif and worked my way downwards. I just felt like working from the middle and then working up. Wow, my gosh. I thought that would do it, but nope. It is practically stuck. No, still not. My goodness. Yes, so I can tell by looking at the colors, these are dark ones up here, so I'm safe to pin stitch in this area. There, finally, 176 stitches. I was wondering if that was ever going to roll over. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone.